Mic check for the YouTube stream. Mic check for the YouTube stream.
Good morning. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Larry Clay and I'll be chairing today's session. Panel members today are Eric Ho, Nancy Oman, Asif Khan, and Ann McCauley, and our Deputy Secretary Treasurer is Nicole Ivanov. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 of the Mississaugas of the Credit. Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid, in-person, and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. When your item is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body or, in some limited circumstances, to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. Today I'll call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee, and I'll comment when you're reaching the 5-minute mark. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept new materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address, and please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and make a presentation to the committee on an application. Then individuals, either in support or oppose the application, will be invited to speak. Generally, we call first on speakers in the hearing room and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they finish their presentation, and when all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion, and the application will be taken into committee for a decision. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any minutes from previous meetings?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and panel members. Yes, there are the minutes from the March 12th, 2025 hearing that have been confirmed and are ready for adoption.
Okay, I will move adoption. Do I have a seconder? Ms. Oman? All in favor? Those minutes are confirmed. Are there any declarations of interest on the morning session from panel, staff?
None from staff.
See none. Are there any files to be closed this morning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are no files to be closed or withdrawn this morning.
Thank you. And we have a deferral request for this morning?
That's correct. We have item number 13, municipal address of 198 Tower Drive, and file number A0319/24SC. There are, I believe, some speakers that have showed up in person to this item.
Okay, so first I'll just read this item into the record. Number 13 is 198 Tower Drive. Committee has before a copy of, public hearing notice, location map, plan of survey site and plans, tree site photos received November 4th, and a deferral request from the agent. We have staff reports from community planning and urban forestry. There are letters of interest concern from 196, 187, and 200 Tower Drive. There is correspondence and opposition from 51 Princemere Crescent. Do we have the agent here or online?
They're not here? Yeah. No, for item 13. Through the chair, I believe the agent is online.
Okay.
We'll just do one check again with staff. Through you, Mr. Chair, it appears the agent is not online at the moment for this
Okay.
item.
Why don't we proceed with number 1, and when the agent comes back, we'll deal with that one. Okay, we will start with our agenda this morning. The first item is 345. Yeah, I'm just looking for the project description. You'll forgive me for a second. Okay, 345 Midwest Road, Units 1 and 2. This is an application to permit and maintain the existing vehicle repair shop use in Units 1 and 2 in the existing one-story detached commercial building. Committee has before it public hearing notice, location map, plan of survey and plans, parking study, tree site photos received on September the 12th. There is an advisory report from Metrolinx. There is correspondence in concern from 1750 and 1752 Midland Avenue. Is the agent with us online? Yep. Come on down, sir. Good morning. Is your microphone on there, sir? Is there a red light on?
Yep, the red light is on. Can everyone hear me?
If I could have your name and address, please.
Yep, I am Gursavic Singh from King Consultants, authorized agent. My address is Unit 2, 177 Zenwave Boulevard, Vaughan, Ontario.
All right, sir. We do have some a letter of opposition, so just it looks like a fairly straightforward application, but maybe just give us a very quick overview, please.
Sure. So originally this application came forward through a zoning examiner's notice. There was a parking deficiency that they identified with the citywide bylaw as well as the former town of Scarborough bylaw as well. And with that in mind, the owners, the register owners that are sitting with us here today in chamber, they had done a traffic parking justification study. There was parking utilization surveys showing that the shortfall of parking is insignificant for their operation and the style of business. Standard operation for most repair uses, typically there is some waiting cars, there's cars inside the building. As it's an appointment-based business, there's no risk of overflow. The location of the waiting vehicles for repair are located wholly in the rear yard. They also are fenced, screened from the front yard. All employee vehicle parking is happening in the front. It seemed pretty straightforward and standard that the traffic engineer agreed that there's no issues with the use. In terms of the letter of concern, we did note that it's related to a fencing issue. I did see that the fence is an existing fence. I had confirmed with my client that they're willing to move the fence. That's not a concern. They realized through that survey provided by the concerned neighbor that the fence is bisecting part of their property as well as my client's property, so that will be corrected as soon as this frosty spring ends. Apart from that, the relocation of the fence does not impact any parking spaces either.
Great. Thank you, sir. Panel, any questions? Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you.
We have no speakers on this one?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have 2 speakers, one in person and one in line.
Okay, if whoever's here in person, do you want to come down? Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. My name is Jan. The owner of 1750 and 1752 Middle Avenue.
Okay.
And he already said, that's fence little bit twist, and my boundary and his boundary is okay. If they correct soon, yeah. I don't have any concern if they correct.
Okay.
Okay. Another issue is, and because their backyard before the 2 property belong to one owner, they don't have the fence. The fence is new. They when they bought the property, they put a new fence. That's not. I can say the not existing fence. It's just a new fence they put. Okay, and because that's the sloping, their backyard is higher. Scale is higher, and my is low, is owning one rain well in my backyard. I think, yeah, I don't know, their property is another rail well. So my concern is the parking and damaged cars. That's the leaking oil. When the heavy rain, the oil could be into my backyard. And there's some issues, before, I think a few years ago, the city come to check. There's some issues, yeah. And that's really concerned is the environmental issues.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. It sounds like he's prepared to address the fence on the boundary issue.
Yeah.
The environmental issues are a little bit beyond this committee, but if you can always call 311, or we can certainly put it to the agent to see if there are any mitigation measures. But if anything does happen, you can call 311 and get some city staff out to examine the situation.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We have another person online.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we had a speaker registered online, Yong Quinn from 1750, and
That was
Okay.
that was the speaker there.
and then we had another person listed in person. Is there nobody else in the audience for this item? Okay, not anymore.
Okay.
We're fine.
All right, sir, do you want to come back and just very quickly, I heard you say you're going to rectify the boundary issue, but your neighbor has indicated some concern about environmental runoff.
Sure. So we did note that the property was one property back in the past. These are some things that happened in the 70s and 80s, so there is some grade shifting there. But we'll get in touch with the neighbor as well. We'll look at it. If there are any recollect vehicles or derelict vehicles in that rear yard, those will be relocated. And again, of course, with the parking layout proposed by the traffic engineer, there's going to be repavement marking as well. So we'll identify exactly where that slope and swill ends on the boundary line. If there's any issues, then I believe that could be solved with a curb. So that flow and that overflow from potentially any contaminating uses, such as the vehicles that are going to be, or the vehicles in the rear yard, those can be relocated, and that grade could be examined.
Sure.
So our clients are
Curb
willing
would
to
be a
work with
good
them.
idea.
Yep.
All right, panel, any questions? Yes, Asif?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, sir. I would like to know, did you ever received any notice from the property standard or building department?
So to my knowledge, my client, they did get visited by bylaw once or twice, and it was mainly regarding the business license itself. But to my understanding, I'm not sure if they actually received none, right? So no actual standard or formal complaints, but it was mainly pertaining to the use itself, which was the business license, not the style of operation.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Good. Thank you very much, sir. We'll
Thank
take
you.
this into committee. Anyone want to take this one on? Eric?
Thank you, Chair. On review, this application looks straightforward and minor, and I think it meets the 4 test of the Planning Act. The site currently already exists as a vehicle repair shop, and it's in a vehicle service and EI zone. Parking study also advised that there are 35 vehicles on site during peak hour that can be accommodated. So therefore, I move approval of this application. I would just make a note, ask the staff to make a note on file that the applicant is willing to reposition the backyard fence back to reflect the correct property boundary per the appropriate legal survey.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Mr. Ho, seconder, Mr. Khan, all in favor?
Seconded by,
That's approved. You have your approval, sir. Thank you. All right, let's move on. Is the deferral online yet? Nope. All right, let's move on to item number 2. 76 CLONMORE Drive. This is an application to allow for a large tent to cover backyard exercise area. Committee has before it minutes from the December 4th public hearing, public notice, including location map, plan of survey, and plans, tree site photos, an order to comply dated March 7, 2022, and a cover letter from the agent. We also have correspondence from community planning, and there are 7 form letters in support from owners, occupants on CLONMORE Drive, and one on from GERRARD Street. Is the agent online?
Hello, I'm online. I'm here more in a support role and would like the
Sorry,
owner
are
of
you,
the
sorry,
property
sir,
to
are you,
speak to the application.
sorry, I'm sorry for interrupting, sir. Are you the agent?
Yes,
Okay, can I get your name and address, please?
right. Kunal Mohan. My address is 80 Lamb Avenue.
Thank you, sir. We've got some questions on this one, so maybe just a quick overview, including an explanation on the order to comply. Sir, you there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here.
If you could just speak up a little louder, sir. We're just having a little difficulty hearing you.
Sure. If I may, let the owner of the property speak to the application.
Okay. We can. Hello? Hello? Got to get the owner online.
Okay, homeowner, you've been unmuted.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I am the neighbor of Mr. Darian.
Sorry, sir, just hang on a second. We're trying to connect with the homeowner.
Through the chair to the agent, what is the name of the homeowner? We don't have them listed here online. Are they on the line? And what is their name? Staff need to be able to find the name and number.
Their name is Darian List.
Okay, Darian,
Oh,
you've
hi.
been
This is
unmuted.
Darian. Can you hear me now?
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Darian List. How are you?
Fine.
Can you hear me?
So I can. Just confirm your address, please, sir.
Yes, 76 CLONMORE Drive, Scarborough, Ontario, M1N1X8.
Okay. It's a fairly straightforward application. Our panel has some questions. Maybe we can just move to questions. Ms. Oman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I noticed in the late material we got yesterday that there's a cover letter that speaks to the order to comply, and that the order to comply was put in place because you have an expired permit. So I would like to know how long the permit has been expired and how long you had it for, and that it is the existing structure is what was there the entire place, time for the permit, if you could start there.
Sure, sure. The permit was issued back in 2021, and it's the current structure that was installed back then. Same structure.
Was there a time frame put on that permit at the time?
I'm not too sure. It may have been. I'm not sure when the time frame was, but yes, there had to be some sort of time frame on it.
So when did it expire, the permit then? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Thank you.
But the order to comply is dated March 2022. So it was only in effect for a year before you got the order to comply?
I'm not sure when we received the order to comply, sir.
Well, it says
Yes,
here,
I'm
our
not too
material
sure.
says it was 2022 March.
Okay.
Based on that, it looks like it was a
Yeah.
one-year permit.
Okay. Maybe it was some confusion on our part for that. I'm not too sure.
Ann?
Okay, thank you, sir. To the owner, what is the purpose of the tent? In other words, what is underneath that tent that you need a 5-meter high height?
It's just an exercise and sports practice place for me. During the COVID times, I installed it so that all my children they play high level sports, and and we couldn't train in any facility, so I installed this in the backyard.
And what do you mean by high level sports? I'm not a sports person.
So they all play. Oh, okay, sorry. They all play like high level baseball and basketball, where they train on a daily basis at their sport.
And then I fail to understand why you need a tent that is 5 meters high. Is there a basketball net or is there a trampoline in there that requires the tent to be that high?
Well, yes. This is not like a custom tent. This is just a standard tent that I purchased, but it does require a certain height, so you can you have a basketball hoop inside. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, are you aware of the planning report on this file? The planning report that suggests we either refuse or we put a height restriction of 4.5 meters.
Yes, I am aware of that, but it kind of defeats the purpose of if it was reduced. I also think it would compromise the integrity of the tent as well if we reduced it. But it was a structure that was permitted back in 2021, and it's not a custom tent. It just was that height, right? And so I purchased it and it was perfect because I was able to put the basketball net inside.
Okay. Ms. Oman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just another quick question. It looks where the placement of the tent is at the very back of your yard. It backs onto an automotive place. Is that correct? There's no residential behind you there?
No residential.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions?
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, sir. We have no one speaking on this one. All right, let's go into committee. Oh, Ann?
No, we can
Go into committee?
Oh, through the chair, we do have speakers.
Oh, we do have speakers,
Yes.
pardon me.
We have speakers we have one listed in person and online, or is it just online?
All right,
Resident of
is anyone here in person speaking to this item? No? Okay, thank you.
Okay, online, we have the resident from 77 CLONMORE Drive.
Yes, that's correct. Hear me?
Yes, sir. Can I have your name and address, please?
It's George Arnott at 77 CLONMORE Drive
All right.
in Scarborough.
Are you in support of this application?
Yes, actually, that's why I've joined the meeting. I'm fully in support of it. It's a non-issue for myself and my neighbors, as far as I can see. I've never heard an objection to it over the last couple of years.
Okay. Any questions, the speaker? Nope. Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Through the chair, there was a number of speakers that registered in support, but under the same email address as the agent. So agent, Is there anybody else that you have with you that is to speak into support on this application? Okay, through the chair, we don't have anybody online for
that's great.
this.
Thank you. Let's take this into committee then. Ann?
Okay, thank you. Good. I look at this, I see that there are letters of support. The tent itself, the only issue with the tent is the height. And I think the second thing that I'd like to raise is the location of the tent. It's away from the property lines. It's in, I guess, the middle of the backyard. And the people on both sides have said they do not have an issue with it. Therefore, I'm prepared to recommend approval of this application, subject to the site plan that shows the proposed area for the tent. That's drawing A103.
All right, motion by Ms. McCauley to approve and tie it to the site plan. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Ho, all in favor? You have your approval with that condition. Thank you. Nicole, is item 13 online yet?
Through the chair, no, we'll just proceed in order.
All right. Next item is item 3. This is 2971 Shepherd Ave East. This is an application to permit the extension of a driveway to the curb. The existing residential dwelling on the lot will be maintained and unaltered. The application was previously deferred from the November 13th, 2024 hearing. Committee has before it a copy of the minutes from the November 13th meeting. We have location map, plan of survey, and plans. We have staff report from community planning and from Metrolinx. Do you have the agent?
Through the chair, yes, the agent.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you guys.
Can you hear that? I don't, I'm assuming you have your speaker on? I guess not.
That's weird. I was hearing everything fine until my project came up for some reason.
Can you hear us now? Is he muted himself? Do you know? Does anyone know? He's not muted?
To the agent, we can hear you. You are unmuted.
Can you check if it's something from your end?
It is not from our end. It is from your end. We can hear you fine.
He can't hear us.
Through the chair, I suggest we stand this down while the agent works out their audio issues on their end.
Okay. We'll move then on to item number 4. This is 2540 Gerrard Street East, Block 4. This is an application to alter the development standards for the 29-story residential building with an 8-story podium in Block 4 by providing a minimum required number of 3-bedroom or more bedroom units and a reduction in the minimum required suite sizes. Committee has before it the location map, plan of surveys and plan, OMB decision number PL 120431 affecting the subject property. We have site photos, tree photos. There is a staff report from Metrolinx, and that's it. We have the agent online. You're here? Oh, hi. Hi, just have your name and address, please.
Hi, good morning.
Is that mic on?
The light is on. Maybe I need to speak.
I can hardly hear you. Someone check. Is the red light on?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I can speak up.
That's
for you.
great.
Yeah.
Can you have your name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Brianne Robinson. Address is 201 Millway Avenue, Suite 19 in Vaughan.
It'd be good to have an overview and presentation on this application.
Yeah, of course. So I am the authorized planning agent for GCD Trust Limited, the registered owner of the lands municipally known as 2540 Gerrard Street East. The subject lands are located on the northeast quadrant of Victoria Park Avenue and Gerrard Street East and is comprised of 6 blocks. The application before you today is for Block 4, which has direct frontage on CLONMORE Drive. Map 21 of the official plan designates the subject lands as mixed-use areas, and the site is subject to the former City of Scarborough Community Bylaw 8786 and is currently zoned apartment residential with site-specific permissions. The application is seeking relief from the former City of Scarborough Birch Cliff Community Bylaw 8786 to the Performance Standard Chart Schedule B. Section 17 permits a maximum of 6% of the total units on the site to be 3 or more bedroom units, and we are requesting for a minimum of 6% of the total units to be 3 or more bedrooms. Performance Standard Section 80 lays out the minimum allowed unit sizes for this block. A table was provided with our application laying out the proposed unit sizes. We're looking for a reduction. Based on my correspondence with the application technician, it's my understanding that community planning has no concerns with the variances in front of you today. We have had an opportunity to review the advisory comments from Urban Forestry and from Metrolinx, and we have no concerns. It's my opinion that the variances meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act under Section 45.1, and I'm happy to answer any questions of the members of committee.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? Asif?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, sir. My question is, there are 446 units. 1 bedroom is 239, and 72 2 bedrooms, and 35 3 bedrooms.
Yes.
It's a high density development. Smaller areas and more people, restricted to a very small area. Their development, human development is restricted. And that is what I note. That's very difficult for people having 2 kids and living in that kind of environment and space. So why is, I understand the shortage of apartments and all these kind of things. It's a necessity that we need in this city. But space getting narrower and narrower, that's a concern.
Yes, absolutely. So through the chair, I recognize your concerns. I think through the owner's market research, there's been an identification to want to reduce the minimum permitted unit sizes. I do want to note that it is a minimum, so there's a possibility for the units to range and vary in sizes depending on the 1, 2, 3 bedroom units. And for that reason, we have also wanted to explore the possibility of providing more 3 bedroom or more units. Right now there is that maximum of 6%, and we're asking for the maximum to become a minimum. So there is an opportunity to provide larger units, just recognizing that the reduction in the unit sizes and creating that minimum rather than a maximum will allow for a greater range and different sizes of units within the proposed development.
Did you?
Steve, I'm going to ask you to pause because we have a speaker online that wishes to address this issue. So if you can hold that question until we hear from Mr. Carson.
Yeah, hello?
Hello.
Mr. Carson here.
If I could get your full name and address, please, sir.
It is 97 CLONMORE Drive, basically right across the street from these monstrosity of a buildings that they're trying to put up.
Okay, sir, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, 5 minutes. Yeah, that's what a joke that is. Who came up with that rule? Okay, so we feel the people here, I've talked to all the people, sent out notices before to over 2,000 residents, all going down to Fallingbrook and everywhere else, all around Ward 20, in a radius of almost 2 miles, a circle radius. Everybody in the community feels that this development that was approved before 1968 with the densities and the heights, these zoning permissions were outdated, and this thing was passed through. I don't know how it got passed through in 2012 by the corrupt municipal board land tribunal that has been talked about by the Attorney General. What's her name? Sheila Spence, when she went over the Doug Ford Ontario Place fiasco, 97% in favor of building, and all for the politicians and the building approvals. 3% for the citizens.
Sorry, sir. Excuse me, sir. I know you're frustrated. You've got very serious concerns about this, but if you could just confine your remarks to what is being proposed here in terms of the variances. Thank you.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to cut me off. But I feel all of these things that should be taken back. That when they bought these buildings were all improperly approved, and this should be taken back into the courts. Never mind the land tribunal, and the citizens should be voting on all of these matters, on any size building over 12 stories within a 2 kilometer, 2 mile radius. But anyway, that's not going to happen. So I feel that no matter what they do, it doesn't matter the size of the condominiums or apartments. They're saying they're apartments. The question is to this person, are they going to sell these apartments to the city for metro housing, community housing? Okay. Put that question to her right now.
Okay, are you finished your remarks?
Yeah, I would like to have that answered. All the citizens down here want to know what's going on. They're saying it's going to be apartments. Is it going to be sold off to the city and the corrupt dictatorship Mayor Chow to put in metro housing? And that's what it is. And I don't even know why you have counselors anymore, because she's a dictator now, giving all the authority.
All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We'll put that question to the agent. Thank you. Ma'am.
Yes, through the chair, the tenure of these units has yet to be determined by the owner of the property, but would be determined through a formal site plan approval application process.
Okay. We have some questions. So,
yes.
Nancy?
Just a quick question on that note, but just putting it in a different way. Are any of these units going to be affordable units?
Again, I don't have the answer to that question at this time. It's not a level of detail that we've got into, but it's something that will be determined through a formal planning application.
And then on the unit size, to Mr. Khan's point, getting smaller and smaller for the same, cost. Is that because market is dictating that you need to make them smaller? And are people asking for this, or is this more kind of from the development side?
Yeah, so through the chair, it's my understanding that these unit sizes were determined through a market analysis that was undertaken by the owner. I do want to point bring attention to the importance that this is a minimum. There is opportunities to kind of explore through the site plan and through the creation of the floor plans, units that are a range of sizes for 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. We're just looking to achieve a smaller minimum at this time.
Okay, final question. Is this a rental building, a condo building? Which is it?
Through the chair, at this time, the tenure has yet to be determined.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Asif, did I cut you off? So you're okay, Ann?
Okay, I have a couple of questions and a comment. This property, I know it used to be a garbage dump. It used to be the Gerrard Street garbage dump, and it's been acquired. I believe it has been cleaned up, but it has gone through council and committees. I note that the OMB hearing that we have notice of is 2012. The community has been very vocal about it. The community had some concerns about the environmental impact given its history. But I think we're well beyond that, and what they're looking for now is to proceed with the development. Given that, that's really to the speaker or to the residents. Given that, I don't understand why you are changing your 6% 3-bedroom units to a minimum of 6%. The other unit sizes, they're not changing. So if you have a certain number of bedrooms, you have 239 1-bedrooms, 72 2-bedrooms. Those are our maximums. And you have 35 3-bedrooms. Where's the opportunity to change those 35 3-bedrooms?
So, through the chair, the provisions of the zoning bylaw do not provide a maximum for the number of 1 and 2 bedroom units, but there is a maximum of 6% for 3-bedroom units. Right now, our percentage is 10.1%, so we're over that 6%. And in an effort to be able to provide larger units, we're asking for that maximum to be changed to a minimum so that there's a flexibility in the zoning to allow for a greater percentage of units proposed to be 3 bedrooms.
Again, I'm getting confused. You're saying right now you have more than 10% as 3 bedrooms?
Yes, so
And that's in a site plan that has received any level of approval?
no, it hasn't been approved through a site plan approval application, but our current site plan statistics that were submitted in support of this application shows 10%, 10.1% of the units to be 3 bedrooms.
And are those then the reduced size of 3 bedrooms?
Yes, per the reduction in the minimum unit size request, yes.
Okay, so you're asking for more 3 bedrooms, but you're making all the 3 bedrooms smaller, and in fact, you're making the 1 bedrooms and the 2 bedrooms smaller units.
Yes, that's correct.
Are you changing the total number of units?
No.
So you're still having 346 units?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I don't have any more.
Thank you, Ann. Eric, you had a question about the OLT? You're okay? Okay. Asif?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you, sir. I just want to seek information for myself. Is it the same site which has been for a very long time abandoned because there was some sort of gas leakage, radon or something gas, and it was not allowed by the city to develop? Now, what is the condition of that particular gas? I'm asking because I used to be building official, and I know previous owner was Mr. Tenenbaum, and today I don't know who is. and there was a gas leakage and the whole area was hazardous area. So what condition, what kind of gas has been, how it has been brought to this habitable stages?
Yeah, so through the chair, my understanding is that the owner has been working through the required environmental remediation items. Currently, for Block 1, we are working on addressing outstanding comments for a site plan approval application, which includes review of the environmental conditions and submission of methane gas testing. For Block 4, which the variance is for today, it's my understanding that those items regarding environmental remediation would be addressed through a formal site plan approval application, where it would be the requirement of the applicant to show that the lands are clean to be able to proceed with the proposed development.
My question is, this development has been cleared by the health authorities, and it does not end up just like we had in the Melbourne long ago. There was some sort of gas problem, so it has been declared as a fit for the human development.
So through the chair, it's my understanding that that needs to be addressed through formal phase 1 and 2 ESAs and through a record of site condition for the property that would be submitted in support of the application.
Okay, thank you.
Eric.
Thank you, Chair. I thought I asked a question anyways. So you have the LPAT application currently being appealed to LPAT. Is that the site plan application being appealed? That's an ongoing process, right?
Yes, through the chair, the current OLT appeal is for Block 1 of the site, and today's application is in regards to Block 4.
Okay, so they actually have no dependency of.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Thank you. Let's go into committee. Ann?
Okay, Mr. Chair. I've got some real concerns with this application. The applicant wants to reduce the number of or change the number of units. She wants to reduce the size of the units. This was all done on a zoning waiver. They don't have a site plan in front of us yet. The previous site plan, I don't know what the status of. And I have some, and the tenure is to be determined. It looks like, if I can use it, we're on a fishing expedition. We don't know what we want here. And so we're trying another thing. I'm not prepared to try another thing. If they want to submit an application, start working through the site plan application to see whether staff are satisfied with a change in the number of units and the size of units. That it's not just a marketing idea from somebody as to how this site be developed. So I think the application that we have in front of us is very much premature.
Okay. Anyone else? Nancy?
Yeah, I somewhat agree with Ms. McCauley. I think it is a bit premature. I also feel that, as we're putting more and more units into smaller spaces and things are becoming smaller and smaller, I'm not sure that smaller units, especially when the unit count is staying the same, I don't know that smaller units are really, the right way to go and sort of the right decision for this building. And then also the fact that there's no confirmation if there's affordable units. As far as I know, that's part of intensification, that there should be some affordability. And we don't know if they're rental or condo. So I I too am reluctant to approve this at this time.
Okay, I'll just weigh in. So I think what you're hearing from panel is that there's a degree of uncertainty about what you're proposing. Tenure, size, you're talking about a minimum. It might be more, it might be less, might be rental, might be condo. There's still an outstanding site plan approval process. I think you're hearing we don't have enough information to make an informed decision, is what it really comes down to. I don't know if you want to defer this one. Do you want to refuse it? If you refuse it, then presumably it can get bundled at the OLT, right? You lawyers. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Give me a thought because I was ready to refuse it. I could defer this because I want further information. Also, I want to see the application submitted to the site plan process.
Yeah, for my choice, I think that might not be a bad. I'd like to see it bundled.
Yes.
Right? You'd like to see a comprehensive proposal. So what do you guys think? Deferral, refusal? Ann or Nancy?
I kind of on the fence. I mean, I'm always for giving people the chance to kind of rectify things. I'm not sure if you want to put it to the applicant, but I would like to see what I'd mentioned in particular, affordability and clarity in the unit size. I don't believe these units are,
I'm going to come out of committee, and I'm just going to put it to you. You can see what we're struggling with.
Yes,
We don't have a complete application in our view. So we can either refuse it, and you can take it all to OLT, or you can have a deferral. What would your client prefer, do you think?
I think the preference would be deferral. Even if it just provides us with an opportunity to provide a little bit more information about the intention. I think for this site, the history and the OMB cases that have taken place have kind of set the intention for how these lands are to be developed. It's just a matter right now of determining the details in terms of the unit sizes in the mix, which the client at this time feels fairly confident with, and is something that we were trying to address ahead of a formal site plan application. But if there is an opportunity to defer, to provide some more information, possibly on the tenure and the unit sizes themselves, I think that would be appreciated.
I think that, for a future hearing and plus some update on the status of the site plan process, I think a future panel would appreciate having full information
Sure.
in order to make a decision.
Absolutely.
So I'll go back into committee. Ann, did you want to move deferral?
Yeah, I'm prepared to move deferral. I'm just looking at our material here. There's two buildings on this site. One, they've already told us, is in front of OLC because of environmental issues. And so now they're trying to look at what they're doing with this one. This site has a long history. I think a deferral, and I'm going to do deferral, sine die. It needs to really rethink what they're doing, get their act together, maybe look at what market there is, and come forth with a proposal that has been reviewed by staff. And notice that this whole thing is done on a zoning waiver, so none of this has been looked at by staff, but an application that has been fully vetted by staff. So I'll put forth a motion for deferral, sine die.
Okay, motion by Ms. McCauley to defer, seconded by Mr.
I'll
Khan.
second.
All in favor? Sure, you have a
Can
comment?
Just a comment, I would like in the notes that the applicant will also undertake looking at possible affordability units in there, and also, because you spoke about the EA earlier, I think that we also need to know where the environmental assessment is at, because if that's going to take another 5 years, Mr. Chair, then the market's going to change potentially again, right? So
It's premature.
So I think I would like in the notes that the applicant undertake those specific things also.
Okay. All right, motion by Ms. McCauley, second by Mr. Khan. All in favor? You're deferred.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 5, or do we have the deferral?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent for item 13 for the deferral request online, and we do have the speakers in person.
Okay. All right, I think I've read this item into the record already. It's 198 Tower Drive. So maybe we can just go straight to the agent.
Let's start with the rooms first because they're still cleaning up the corridor. We decided to room and work our way
Sorry,
around.
sir. I'm sorry, sir.
I'll keep you guys in a minute.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm going to make you start over again. I didn't quite hear you. Could I have your name and address, please?
My name is Safa Al-Hamdani. I'm for 198 Tower Street.
Okay, sir. You're requesting a deferral. What's the purpose of the deferral request?
Because last time we talked to the city planning, we submit our applications, but they didn't review the application, and we submit the new drawings, and they didn't look to it. For that, we said, okay, they give us a new requirement, and said we will give them the new drawings, and we finish it, but we don't have enough time to develop our drawings.
Okay, so you need to respond to community planning concerns.
The city,
Right.
yes, the zoning bylaw, yes.
Okay. Thank you. We have some folks here.
Through the chair, we do have 2 people in person. Do you wish to speak on the deferral?
Do you want to come down anyways? Come on down. And while you're walking down, I'll just give you some instructions. We're not going to be dealing with the merits of the item today. All I'm going to be asking you is whether you agree or not to the request for a deferral. So you want to come down and we'll put you on record. If I could have your name and address, please.
My name is Maria Batista, and my address is 200 Tower Drive, adjacent on the east side of the property.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm just going to ask you the straight question. Are you in support or not of a deferral?
I can accept the deferral, but I need to find out exactly what the proposed changes to this location is, because the drawings that were submitted and are online do not reflect what's on the letter. So I need to know exactly what they're proposing to do.
And what we'll do is we'll ask the agent to make sure before they come back that they speak.
Okay.
Okay. Ma'am, did you want to come down? You're okay? All right. Thank you very much, ma'am. All right. Yes. We'll take this into committee. And why am I doing this?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. As the applicant stated, he's looking for a deferral. The planning report is also looking for a deferral to deal with the length. And so I would move approval to defer this application to the first available date. And in the notes, just please that the agent, I hope you're listening, undertake to speak to the neighbors and show them any revisions you make before you come back to committee.
Okay, motion by Ms. Oman to defer, seconded by Ms. McCauley. All in favor? You have your deferral. Thank you. We go back to item number 5.
Through you, Mr. Chair, item number 3, we can circle back to the agent who is having audio issues. Hopefully they've resolved on their end.
Okay. This is 2971 Shepherd Street East. I've already read this into the record, so is the agent with us? Hello?
I'm here.
Good morning.
Chair.
Good morning. If I have your
Good
name,
morning.
name and address, please, sir.
It's Sarush Kalustian from HSK Design, 1800A Avenue Road, North York.
Okay, panel, does anyone need a presentation on this one? Sir, we don't need a presentation this morning. It's fairly straightforward. Before we take it into committee for a decision, is there anything you'd like to share with the panel?
No, I think everything is straightforward, as you mentioned, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we're in committee. Anyone want to take this one on? Nancy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is indeed straightforward. We have 3 variances before us. Everything is pretty much existing except for a curb cut that's going to make this a circular driveway. So I would move approval as I feel it meets the 4 tests.
Okay, motion by Ms. Oman to...
Through the
Sorry,
chair,
do we have a speaker?
there are conditions by community planning.
Oh, yes.
By the
sorry.
plans?
I did not read my notes. So, and that includes the April 2nd planning report with conditions, and the Metrolinx is just advisory.
Yep. Okay, motion by Ms. Oman to approve, subject to planning conditions tying it to plans. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Ho, all in favor? Opposed? Sorry, I wasn't sure what, you didn't put your hand up.
I'm okay.
Okay, all in favor, unanimous. Thank you. You have your approval.
Thank you.
Now we have item number 5. This is 2 Willowhurst Crescent. This is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling with 3 residential units, an integral garage with vehicular access from Willowhurst Crescent, a side porch, a rear basement walkout, a rear ground floor deck, and a rear 2nd-story balcony. The existing 1-story detached dwelling and shed will be demolished. This item was previously scheduled for a Committee of Adjustment hearing on December 4th, 2024, and deferred at the Committee of Adjustment hearing on January 16, 2025. Committee has before it minutes from the December 4th and the January 16th meetings. We have location map, plan of survey and plans. There are tree photos. There is supporting materials from the agent received on April the 1st. There's email correspondence from TRCA, staff reports from Transportation Review, Urban Forestry, and a second report from TRCA. Okay, do we have the agent online?
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, this is Architect Imran Khan. I'm on behalf of the owner. My address is 1906 Parkside Drive, Pickering.
Okay, maybe a short presentation, sir. You were deferred from the January meeting, so panel would appreciate a bit of an update.
Yeah, actually, we have 13 variances. 12 variances already we discussed on 16th of January 2025. Only one issue we had, that is the number 13, that is the driveway access from the Willowhurst. So that was not supported by Transportation Department. That was deferred for this purpose. We took the deference because we need to discuss with the engineering department to get the support. And we had conversation, and as a result of that, Transportation Department issued a latest letter supporting our variance 13 on the basis of conditions that we have to have 10 feet, up to 10 feet, cutting the branches, clear the trees up to the 10 feet, cutting the branches, and also the driveway access. We need to have 3 meter maximum to have this to control the traffic from the driveway. And yeah, that 2 conditions, and we agreed with those 2 conditions, and we are okay.
Okay, so you're preserving the tree, you're just trimming it up.
Yeah.
Okay, panel, any questions? We don't have any speakers on this one, no? Panel, any questions? Ann?
Yeah, they're to preserve this tree. As I see, the tree, I think, is a spruce tree, and they show a picture of how much they're cutting off. No, the spruce tree, the next.
It's 10 feet.
Yeah, can you bring up the picture of the, it's part of,
Yeah, there is.
yeah, or in the transportation review comments, they show the photo of the tree, and it's actually a better photo. I have tree photos.
Maybe you could speak to it while we're looking for it, Ann.
Okay. The photo shows the spruce tree. As I said, it's a spruce tree. The photo also shows that, yeah, that's probably the photo. Can you just enlarge that photo? Yeah. So there's the 10 feet. Perfect. So that's what he's cutting off, that tree. All those branches. Now, what you're going to get is a top lopsided tree. I don't see that tree, frankly, that tree shouldn't be able to survive with 10 feet of the branches on a spruce tree cut off. And so I really question whether this is a desirable development. I noticed that there's no forestry reports. Forestry hasn't even considered this. But I'm not convinced that in order to get a viewing distance from the driveway, and you can see where the driveway would be, probably where that hedge is, to the road, it's desirable to cut off all those branches and that the tree actually live. So I've got some real concern about that that proposal.
Nicole, there's a report in from RNFP. Does that reflect forestry opinion as well?
Through the chair, it is technically urban forestry would comment separately, but they have not indicated any conditions or any comments separately for this.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Ann. Anyone else have any comments, questions? All right, let's take this into committee. Okay, and I take it you're not supporting this one?
I support the application. I don't support the proposal to cut the branches of the tree.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how that.
Well, I don't think
that
they'd get
comes with-
approval if you don't allow them the visual access, then it's hard to approve this application without that.
From transportation's statement. All right.
All right, so anyone else have any thoughts? Nancy?
No, I mean, we have to have faith in forestry department and our other departments when there are some discussions that have taken place, and the examples of pictures, you know, that show that they have done trimming on different types of trees and vegetation to address the issue, which seems to be acceptable to forestry in this case. So I would be inclined to approve the application.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't know.
Anyone else? Eric, did you want to speak to this one?
Yeah, I tend to agree with my colleague, Ms. Oman here. All those 13 variances, they all appeared minor in nature, and revisions were made to address transportation review and TRCA concerns. With respect to the trimming, we're not getting any objections from urban forestry, and I agree with Ms. Oman that we should have faith in, in our staff's review.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll look to someone for a motion. Ann?
Okay, I'm going to, I've said my piece about the tree. I think the reason we've got nothing from urban forestry is urban forestry did not review this proposal to cut down half the branches of the tree. Given its transportation concern over the opportunity to see for safety, I'll withdraw my comments about the tree. Whether they cut down half the tree or not, I think is if they proceed the way they're going, in my opinion, they're going to kill the tree, and it's a useless exercise. But that's only my opinion, and it's not going to be a condition I put on it.
Are you moving approval?
I'll let someone else move approval.
Okay.
I just won't object.
Nancy?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I would move approval of the application as I feel the variances in themselves are minor. And Transportation reviewed this again, and they are now okay. They're in the April 2nd report. There are some comments regarding variance 13, so RNFP has no conditions, and the TRCA are okay in their November 27th report. So I feel that, you know, the proposal itself, the new build fits within the context of the neighborhood. I hope the tree is okay. I have to be honest, I've seen hydro butcher trees and they live. So hopefully the applicant will have an arborist that does a really nice job. And with that, I would move approval.
Okay, motion by Ms. Ullman to approve,
I'll
seconded by
second the
Mr.
motion.
Khan. All in favor? Okay, you have your approval. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 6. This is 4 Fieldside Drive. What's the matter? Asif, you wanted a short break around 11 o'clock you'd asked for, so can we take a little 5-minute break, Nicole?
Through the chair, yes, we can take a. We can take a
5-minute break.
5-minute. Okay, 5-minute break. Members, please turn off your microphones and videos.
Okay, we're ready to go? No, no. This one, yeah, I wouldn't mind a bit of an overview. We'd have opposition, okay? All right, we resume with item number 6, 4 Fieldside Drive. This is an application to alter the existing 2-story detached dwelling with a secondary suite by constructing a second-story rear addition and a rear balcony. This application was deferred from this January 16th hearing. Committee has before it the minutes from that January 16th meeting. We have location map, plan of surveys, and plans, and tree and site photos. There is a report from community planning. Do we, my water guy. Good morning, sir. If I could have your name and address, please.
Good morning, everyone.
Is your microphone, is the red light on?
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. This is Tulasi Nathan, Sanmuga Nathan.
I'm sorry, you're just going to have to speak up a little louder. I'm having trouble hearing you.
Tulasi Nathan, Sanmuga Nathan from Atulaks Building Science, located at 665 Pleasant Ridge Avenue 1.
And your colleague?
He's the owner of the property.
Okay. We do have, I think, someone not speaking on this one? Okay. Just hang on a sec, sir. Panel, does anyone need a presentation on this application? Sir, thank you for coming in today. We've read your application. We're familiar with the material. We don't need a presentation from you today. We may have questions. Is there anything you'd like to share with the panel before we deliberate on this one?
Yes. Yes. This the property owner. First, this property is very narrow. The footprint is very narrow and long. Because of the integrated garage, fully outside the building. And the owner originally wanted to do 2-story addition. Then he worked with the planning department, and then we cut it down to 1-story addition. And then also earlier we proposed larger balcony. We reduced the balcony size to comply minimize the variance. And also the family need, so he need to create a second apartment on this property. Like I said earlier, this is a narrow footprint. It's not allow us to do the basement apartment. So we need some addition to accommodate that.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions? Thank you very much, sir. We don't have any questions. Let's take this into committee. Yes, please, Asif.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move the motion. We have 4 variances in front of us, and after listening to the presenter, I'm of the opinion that this is straightforward application and it should be approved with conditions from the staff.
Okay, motion by Mr. Khan to approve, subject to planning conditions tying it to plans, seconded by Ms. McCauley. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate for the approval. Thank you.
Okay, item number 7, 44 Bonnechere Crescent. This is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling with 3 residential units and a front platform. The existing 1-story detached dwelling will be demolished. This application was previously deferred from the February 12th hearing. Committee has before it the minutes from that hearing. We have location map, plan of survey and plans, tree and site photos. There is supporting materials from the agent and correspondence with the zoning examiner. There is a staff report from Urban Forestry. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and the committee. My name is Yasso Somalingam. I'm here with Christina from my office.
Your address, sir.
My address is 880 Ellesmere Road, Unit 234, Scarborough.
Okay, sir, just hang on a second. Panel, does anyone need a presentation? Ann? Okay, sir, we may have some questions.
Sure.
Is there a speaker?
Through the chair, so we have one registered speaker at 4 Panmure Crescent who was online and now is appearing offline. I will just check with staff to see if this resident is back online. Through the chair, for the record, the resident at 4 Panmure Crescent has left the meeting and is not online to speak. We did have a person here to speak in person. Are they in the audience?
Ah,
The homeowner here.
you're in support, I presume. Okay. You know, there was someone here to speak in opposition, so maybe in deference to them, they're not with us anymore, but just give us a quick, very, very quick overview of your application, please.
So basically, this application is for 3 variances, and these variances are in effect because we are building the house exactly on the same footprint of the existing house. The existing house has been with the variances, and since we are printing the footprint will be follow the same footprint, these variances will follow as well. Now, the variances seeked are the front yard setback, even though we are giving plenty of flanked yard setback more than required, and also side yard setback more than required. Even the rear yard setback pretty much more than required has been given. Last meeting, this was deferred. The reason is that the neighbor behind the house next to the proposed garage, he said that there could be an additional variance of the width of the driveway. So we had to confirm that with the zoning examiner whether there's any additional variance, and then we received in writing there's no additional variance required, and it's confirmed to the code. So that's the reason we have come back here to get it approved. And furthermore, my client has spoke to the neighbor who is in the rear side, and he is okay with these variances.
So is that the 4 Panmure Crescent? Okay, good. That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Panel, any questions? Ann, did you have a question? Your speaker, your microphone, Ann.
I'm looking for the appropriate drawing showing the location of the building with respect to the access to the various units. I have it
I'm
at
sorry,
page
Ann, what are you looking for?
309.
Okay.
I'm looking for page 309.
Is that on the screen?
Yeah, that's probably on screen. Okay. Okay, I had some questions here. The neighbor to the north also had a question. And I guess, and I saw that the staff also had a question. So thankfully, staff have asked the question of the zoning examiner, so we got some of that resolved. The questions really deal with sorry. Let me put the drawing up here so that I've got it in front of me and I can ask my question properly. I'm losing this because I'm...
While Ann's looking that up, is there any other questions? You guys are okay? Okay.
Okay. It's probably the same one as what you've got on this the thing.
Bear with us, sir. We'll be with you in a minute.
Okay. So this is an application on a corner lot. And I guess the first part of what I had to wrap my head around is, where is the rear yard? And because it's a corner lot, the applicant can determine the rear yard. Give me a minute here and explain where my issue and my concern is. So the Panmure is the one street, the other street is BONNECHERE. The access to the property is from a driveway off of Panmure. But it's up to the applicant to determine what is his front yard. So he's determined that his front yard is Panmure. No, his front yard is BONNECHERE, which means that his rear yard is the opposite. And so what I was looking at is, what is the rear yard, and does he not need a variance for his rear yard? The rear yard is from the back of the house to the lot line. Now, I think the only thing that had confused me, and had confused, in fact, the neighbor, is that you've got the garage in the rear yard. And so it appears that there is no rear yard. But in actual fact, that's permitted to have a garage in your rear yard, so that's not an issue. I think that from one point, if you look at that drawing, he's got a rear yard from the back of the house to the lot line of about 10 meters. So I'm okay with your rear yard. I then started to look at what is the access to the units. And that's where I have a concern. You've given me a drawing with access to the various units, but the access to the unit in the basement, you've got two basement units. The access to the one unit is from a 1 meter wide access beside the garage, around the back, to the stairs, and into the basement unit. I was concerned as to whether that is safe from a fire point of view. It's really awkward. There isn't access through the garage to the basement. There isn't access to the basement from anything other than those stairs that you can see on this drawing at behind the garage. And the only access from the street is that 1 meter side yard. So if anyone had to get in an emergency to the basement, I was really concerned as to whether that is safe. Now, from what we're looking at and from the applicant, presumably before you get a building permit, the fire department has to look at this. Has the fire department reviewed this and reviewed the access to the basement?
Not really, Madam. The front yard is determined with the shortest length of in a corner property. So the front yard is not BONNECHERE the other side, but the homeowner is using the BONNECHERE as a front yard. The access to the basement is not through the 1 meter behind the garage. The access to the basement is on the other side. We have more than 1.2 meters on the side yard setback. So that's the intention for the basement access to go there. So 1.2 meters is much more than enough for any fire code or any fire escape promises.
So access to this basement unit
through the side yard
is from
the side yard. If you look at the drawing on your left,
BONNECHERE CRESCENT, that 1 meter, because you had access to the other half of that basement. You can see it. It's the stairs into the front half of the basement. There's no access through the front half of the basement unit to the rear basement unit.
So the rear basement unit will have an access from the main street from, like if you look at this the drawing, it's on your left-hand side. It's a 1.2 meter space there from the building to the boundary line. The side yard setback is 1.2 meter, even though 3 meters, 0.3 meters required. Sorry, 0.9 meters required. We are providing 1.22. It's more than 4 feet have an access there.
Okay, so you're saying the access to the second unit in the, well, the access to the basements, one is from the front, and you can see the stairs at the front of the building. And the second one is out from the rear, and you can see the stairs to that. But the access means that you come up from BONNECHERE all through that 1.27 meter wide opening to get to those stairs to go in.
That's right.
Okay. And you haven't had this reviewed by the fire department?
No, that once we bid the building permit application, all the code review will be done. We had to meet all the building code requirements. That's the time that they will review that and make sure that access is good.
Okay.
But with my experience in the past, 1.2 meters setback is plenty for any basement suites and side entrances, and it's been in the practice, so there shouldn't be any problem.
Okay, all right. That was my issue once I figured out where the units were and how you had access to them, and then you had very 1 meter 1 meter wide side yard or a 1.2 meter wide side yard. So we're either talking 3 feet or 4 feet. And my concern was fire access to those units in the basement.
Okay, so that will, as the agent pointed out, be part of the building permit process.
Yeah, he's
and the
going to
fire
have to
code. He has to get approval of that process.
Okay.
So, anyone else? Okay, thank you very much, sir. Let's take it into committee. Who wants to take this one on? Nancy?
Sure. Through you, Mr. Chairman. I think, you know, the application in itself, I think it meets the 4 tests. It fits within the context of the neighborhood. Extra units, which the city is looking for. And I think Ms. McCauley's questions were answered. So I would move approval of the application, including forestry condition number 2.
Okay, motion by Ms. Oman to approve, subject to forestry. I have a seconder, Ms. McCauley. All in favor?
Thank you.
You have your approval. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And thanks to the applicant for clarifying that fire access.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Okay, move on to item number 8. 22 Eastville Avenue. This is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling with a front porch, front second-story balcony, a front rooftop terrace, a side second-story balcony, rear basement walkout, rear ground floor deck, and rear second-story balcony. The existing 1-story detached dwelling will be demolished. Committee has before it location map, plan of survey, and plans, revised site plans, options 1 and 2 received on April the 7th, an arborist report, and tree and site photos. We have staff report from two staff reports from Urban Forestry. Do we have the agent online?
Through the
Yes.
chair.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. This side Ashwik Chabra, and my address is 4500 Shepherd Avenue East. I'm the designer for this project.
Okay, sir, thank you very much. You've submitted some late material, which we're a little bit confused about. So perhaps you could give us a bit of an overview of your application and where you're at.
So from the urban forestry, we got the conditions on April 3 regarding to remove a oak tree from the driveway. And they gave us 3 recommendations for that, either to go to community council or either to change the driveway or flip the house. So for that, we would like to go for community council. And with the variances, we have two variances for the house, which is the lot coverage, which is permitted as 33%, and we are on 34.28%. And the second one is the floor space index, where permitted is 279 meters square or lesser of 0.5, and our FSI is 0.62. So considering some previous decisions in the neighborhood, like on 74 Eastville Avenue, it was 0.57 FSI, and 26 Eastville Avenue was like they designed like 47% of the lot area. So I will like to appeal to the committee that while the variances are very minor in nature and follow the intent and purpose of official plan and the zoning bylaw.
So you mentioned you're proceeding to community council. Are you doing that because you want to remove the tree?
Actually, we want to explore the possibilities to work around it. So either we replant it, or because it's a small tree, so it's so we had a mistake in the arborist report. It was mentioned 8 inches, but the tree is only 6 inches, and community council only go for the trees which is more than 30 centimeter. So in
it's not
regards with this, I have to.
Are you saying it's not a bylaw protected tree?
Yeah, it's not.
That's
It's
contrary.
not like with the size.
Yeah, that's contrary to the information that we have.
Because if you see on the survey which we have, the tree diameter is 0.15. Then on the arborist report, so it's the tree in the front.
Okay. Yeah. I think we're a little bit
It's
confused
right.
here, sir.
I think.
Hold on a sec, sir. We have some questions.
Yeah, I'm getting a little confused. So basically, we have an application before us for two variances for floor space index and lot coverage. And then we got late material because we've been working with forestry, which you have two options. One is shrinking the driveway, the other one is flipping it. So, and now you're talking about council, hang on, now you're talking about community council, which we know nothing about, but that's totally separate from why we're here today. So hang on, my question is, so we have the two variances before us. If we were to, like, that's what we're looking at, two variances only. If we work with this, whether it gets approved, let's say hypothetically the committee approves it, then you have two options. Do you continue working with forestry, and are you going to have to come back for variances again if you take either option number 1 or 2?
So actually, the urban forestry sent us 3 options, not 2 options. Option number 1 was to go to the community council, and second was to reduce the driveway, and the third was to flip the house. So we want to work with urban forestry, but if the variances get clear right now, so it will like expedite the process, and we will be in a better situation and doesn't have to come back to committee again.
So this committee is only looking at the variances. So basically, regardless whether they get approved or not, you still have to continue working with forestry, and maybe you're going to take option 1 or 2, and maybe you're going to go to community council. That's separate from what we're doing here, because we're only looking at what's been circulated to the public so far. Is that understood?
So yes, yes.
Okay, so we're only looking at these variances today, and then whatever stands in your way with respect to the tree, you're going to have to deal with forestry, okay?
Yes, we will deal with the forestry for the tree.
All right, thank you.
So just to be clear on Ms. Oman's question, so even if you did accommodate forestry, your lot coverage wouldn't change, and your FSI, your floor space index, wouldn't change. Even if you flipped as you say, one option is to flip the driveway. That doesn't change either of those two variances. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
If I can just add to that, it could, depending, you know, I'm not a zoning examiner, but you may need another variance, right? Depending which option you choose. So just so you're clear, we're only going to look at what's before us in the context of what was circulated.
Sure for that. Even if because we are not changing anything with the design, and even if we flip the house, it's gonna be exact same. So we going to be fine with the decision today.
All right, thank
So
you.
through the chair, for the record, so what's being decided upon is the variances in the plans that were originally submitted with this application. The late submission from the applicant with various different site plan options is not being considered. That is for the applicant to consult with urban forestry and resolve with urban forestry.
Right. Okay, thank you. Panel, any further questions? Let's take this into committee. Ms. Oman, since you're so interested on this one.
All right, so through you, Mr. Chairman, I think in looking at this as it was circulated, I don't believe that these variances are, how should I say, exponentially large. I think that what's being requested is reasonable, and I think it fits within the context of the neighborhood. It meets the 4 tests, and therefore I would move approval, including forestry conditions 1 and 2.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Oman to approve, subject to forestry conditions. Do I have a seconder? Ms. McCauley?
Okay, and I'm going to, just to add to that, I will second the motion that even if they flip, looking at the plans, because the adjacent use is a park, it's not going to be a major impact on the adjacent park, and it actually would be better for the neighbor to the north of this. So I don't think it really matters whether they flip or not in terms of what we're approving today.
Okay, thank you. So motion by Ms. Oman, seconded by Ms. McCauley. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you. Move on to item number 9. 448 to 454 Markham Road. This is an application to alter the development standards for the residential townhouse development by increasing the number of dwelling units and decreasing the number of residential visitor parking spaces provided on site. Also to permit obstructed or undersized parking spaces in blocks 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the development. Cross-reference site plan for control application 2019-6545 ESC 24SA and previous zoning bylaw amendment application 2019-6539 ESC 24 OZ. We have the agent online.
Hi, it's Benjamin Larson, partner at Elevate Planning and Project Management, address 15 Gervais Drive, Toronto. And can you hear me okay?
Yep. So, sir, you're planning to increase the number of units and reduce the number of parking spaces. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Reduce the visitor parking supply very slightly, and then parking space dimensions kind of technical.
Okay. Anyone need a presentation on this one, guys? No, sir, we don't need a presentation. It's fairly straightforward and clear to us. We've read all the information. Is there anything you'd like to share with us before we take it into committee?
No, just I would like to thank City Planning and the local work council. We work collaboratively with them on these project refinements, and the owner is very excited to push forward and get these townhouse units built.
Okay. All right. We have questions, so hang on a sec. Asif?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, sir. My question is, I'm a little bit concerned about the size, inside parking space size. That is 2.6 is, I mean, this is very narrow. How they are going to open the door and not hurt anybody? Have you considered that?
Yeah, could I have figure 9 from my presentation on the screen? This will show the variance you just cited, Mr. Khan. It's 2 parking spaces in the underground parking garage. And once that gets put on the screen, just waiting for the figure 9 from my presentation. Well, at any rate, when it gets put on the screen, we illustrated where the obstruction is. It's at the front of the space. It's low headroom. And when you drive a car into there, it won't be where the doors swing open. Doors will be able to swing open without the obstruction. This was reviewed by the transportation consultant Arcadis. They did modeling showing that it can occur. So it's not like the space is obstructed along its entire side. If we can go to figure 9 from my presentation here. The obstruction is just at the front of the spot, so it will not impede the doors from opening. But I don't know if you need that supporting visual or not, or if my verbal rationale is enough.
I think that satisfies Mr. Khan's question. Ann, did you have a question?
No, it's a comment.
Okay, so let's hold on to that. Any further questions? Okay, let's take it into committee. Ann, you had a comment?
Yeah, this is an application. It's similar to one we had earlier. It's an application for townhouse development. They've gone through the whole process. They've had site plan approval in October 2023, and they went to the market and they found they can't market the units. So now they're back here with smaller units, changing around the parking spaces. There's no urban design conditions because they're well beyond that. I think it's a shame that we've got a market that we've got, but these guys actually have been doing the right thing. They went to the marketing, they've realized they can't sell, and they're coming back asking for smaller units, presumably with smaller costs, and hopefully they can sell and move. I don't really have a big problem with the parking lot. I took a good look at it and looked at how they're doing even some of that 2 parking spaces for 1 unit, which I've seen elsewhere, and it works fairly well because the owner owns the unit. So if you've got 2 cars, you have to tell the other car owner to move. So it works. The tandem parking works. So I'm prepared to approve this, subject to transportation services, who have basically said build in accordance with the revised site plan of January 29th, 2025.
Motion by Ms. McCauley to approve, subject to transportation condition. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Ho, all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Okay, move on to item number 10. 25 Scarborough Golf Club Road. This is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling with a front porch, front 2nd-story balcony, a rear ground floor deck, and a rear 2nd-story balcony. The existing 1-story detached dwelling will be demolished. Committee has before it copy of the location map, plan of survey and plans, revised site plan, floor plans and elevations received on March 27th, a red line public hearing notice, and a tree and site photos. We have staff report from community planning and urban forestry. We have the agent online.
Yeah, good morning, and this is Architect Imran. I'm the architect and speaking on behalf of the owner for this application.
Great, thank you very much, sir. So you've submitted a red line notice. Could you just walk the panel through the public notice to make sure we understand what changes you're making?
Yeah, as per the planning comments, we reduced the building depth, building length, and we reduced to 19.5 meter. And as a result, that building depth also reduced. But building depth
So that's,
that
sorry, just
much
to be clear,
because we
sir,
pushed
sorry,
the building.
sorry for interrupting, sir. That's variance number 5? Or
Yeah,
that's
it's
variance
variance
number
number
6?
5.
Variance number 6 is the
Yeah. Yeah, depth. Depth also reduced when we reduced the building length. Depth also reduced. This depth is 22.61 meter we are proposing because we pushed the building a little bit backside and we have more front yard area.
Okay.
And the number 7, we revised the balcony, rear balcony of the second floor. We reduced to 5 square meter. That is required 4 square meter. So it's a little bit more than 4 square meter.
Okay, so you're changing variances 5, 6, and 7, and 1 to 4 stay the same?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Panel, any questions? All right, thank you, sir. We have no questions. Let's take this into committee. Who wants this one, Eric?
Thank you, Chair. We have 7 variances before us here based on the amended application. On review, I'm up to view variances 1 to 4 appear minor. Variances 5, 6, and 7 have been revised substantially to the satisfaction of community planning. Holistically, the revised application appears minor and meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act. Therefore, I move approval of this application subject to CP conditions and urban forestry condition number 2.
Okay, motion by Mr. Ho to approve, subject to planning conditions tying to the site plan and forestry condition number 2, seconded by Mr. Khan. All in favor?
And through the chair, that's approved as amended.
Thank you.
As amended. Thank you very much, Nicole. That's approved.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
Item number 11. (1275) Morningside Ave, Unit number 5. This is an application to permit the use of a restaurant in Unit 5 in the existing 2-story detached commercial building. The committee has before it location map, plan of survey and plans, tree and site photos. There is an advisory report from Metrolinx. Is the agent online?
Hi, my name is Abdallah Mohammed. Address is 141 Pilkington Drive, and I'm the applicant.
Thank you very much, sir. Just hang on a second. Panel, does anyone need a presentation on this one? No. Sir, we don't need a presentation. Is there a speaker?
Through the chair, there are no registered speakers for this item. I just wanted to clarify one point for the record in terms of, in the purpose of application, it's to permit the use of a restaurant in Unit 5. And in the variance list, if staff could just kindly bring up the notice on the screen. The variance list number 1, it lists the uses that are permitted within the industrial zone. And in this case, the applicant is seeking to permit a restaurant use. So I would submit or suggest for the record that we just modify the language to match the purpose. Instead of saying a restaurant use will be proposed, it should be changed to reflect a restaurant use will be permitted.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you very much for that clarification. All right. Sir, we don't need a presentation. It's fairly straightforward. Is there anything you'd like to share with us before we take it into committee?
No, that's okay then.
Anyone have a question? Asif, one question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, sir, my question is, what will be the capacity of the restaurant?
So the dining area is only going to be 1,000 square feet, which is about 1/3 of the entire area. So it would be just less than 30 seats.
How about the parking?
The parking, there's plenty of parking in the area. We have about, let me see here, of the numbers, there's plenty of parking. We have about 41 spaces shared between 14 units. And then right across from us, as you can see in this site plan, there's also another 41 spots there. a lot of the units there are industrial, so, and some of them, most of them are actually vacant as well. So there wouldn't be no issues in terms of parking.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, let's take it into committee. Asif, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My motion is very simple. One variance in front of us already cleared. So I make this application be approved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Khan to approve. Ms. McCauley, seconding.
Because of the questions, I think the motion should be to permit a restaurant use in Unit 5 only. That's what they have requested.
Through the chair, specifying Unit 5 means that it would only be in Unit 5 in the building?
Yes.
Okay,
So that's already clear in the purpose.
Okay.
Okay, so
I
I'm just
just
gonna
want to make sure because if they allow restaurant uses throughout, the parking standard, as Mr. Khan has said, will be way out.
No, this is just for Unit 5. And it's an amended applicant because we amended the language.
Yes, sir. I'll agree.
Okay, are you
I will
seconding?
second it.
Okay, motion by Mr. Khan to approve. Oh, yeah, so hang on a second, we have
No,
another comment?
I just wanted to add some rationale for the approval, which is that it meets the 4 tests. There are some other eateries in the periphery of the building, so I think it's a good fit.
That's great, thank you, helpful. Motion by Mr. Khan to approve, seconded by Ms. McCauley, all in favor? You have your approval, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item number 12, 12 Woodland Park Road. This is an application to alter the existing one-story detached dwelling by constructing a second-story addition and a new rear deck. Committee has before it the location map, plan of survey and plans, previous decision number affecting the subject property, tree and site photos. We have staff report from Urban Forestry. There are 5 form letters in support from owners occupants of 20, 29, 44, and 45 Woodland Park Road and 3 Ferncraft Drive. There is correspondence in opposition from 10, 14, and 8 Woodland Park Road. Do we, they have the agent here?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online and we have speakers here in person.
Okay, guys, just want to have a little seat there. There's a spot to sit down. And if we could have the agent, please.
Yes. Good morning. My name is Leo Mastandrea at 817 Cosburn. I'm the agent for the owners at 12 Woodland Park.
Hey, Leo, we have some opposition, so we're going to need a presentation, please.
Yeah, so we were here in November of 2023 and we got committee approval, and we're here to just extend our deck a little bit more, so that's why we're here. We just basically increased our deck from 6 feet to the existing 11 feet. So basically, what I'd just like to add though is our existing building is basically 13. If you can pull up our site plan, A1, our existing building is approximately 13.44 meters. And if we were to add the deck at 3.35 meters, the total will be under the 17 meters permitted. In addition, we can also provide privacy screening. And I believe our application is minor in nature, and it does meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act.
Okay, thank you. We'll hold questions and until folks, you want to come up to the microphone?
Thank you.
Introduce yourselves.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I'm a bit short.
Barely.
So.
Is the red light on?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. My name's Mary Ward. I'm a resident of 14 Woodland Park, owner and resident of 14 Woodland Park, just adjacent to this property, just to the north of it. We did have a package to give out, but we're told that it needed to be submitted prior. And the issue we had was that we were away for most of March, and this notice came in the mail. A neighbor of ours had flagged it to us, but it wasn't until close to the end of March, and we weren't going to be home till the 27th. At that point in time, we looked at the variance, and it would just look, you know, just like a deck, right? So we weren't too concerned about it, and we didn't get home till the 28th. And then at that point in time, we looked at it a bit closer, and we had a conversation with the contractor and the owner, and it was a little bit different than what was actually on the drawings. I mean, they're talking about a roof enclosure, and we didn't have enough time, like we got the letter in, but we just didn't have enough time to get all of our documents in because of the time constraint. So that's why we're here today, but we can speak more to what our concerns are and what we were going to give you. So I think my husband can probably explain that. But during this conversation that we did have a conversation with the contractor on the 28th, and we had a conversation with the owner on April 1st. And just to be clear, I guess they submitted this back in December. At no point in time did they ever come to discuss this with us. Were their neighbors right beside them? They never had a conversation with them, with us, or the neighbor on the other adjacent side, on the south side, to talk about these variances. And as a neighbor, and you're going to be living in this house, you know, I mean, it would have been common courtesy to come to us and explain to us, and then we could have told you what our concerns were, which we told the owner on April 1st what the concerns were. My husband took him into the backyard and showed what the concerns were. And I think at the time they just said, well, this is what we're doing, and if you don't like it, you can just come here and dispute it. So that's why we're here today. So thank you. And I guess my husband will just explain a bit further what our concerns
Thank you.
are. Okay.
So we did
Sir,
have,
just for the record, your name and address?
is Bill Ward, 14 Woodland Park Road.
Thank you.
So we did have a package to give you today, but I understand it was a bit of a rush to pull everything together, including getting the letter, not being able to take pictures that day, ice storm, as we all know what happened last week. So one of the items I wanted to show you, and I had in a package for you, was this was given to me by one of my neighbors. And it was a picture that he got from the contractor that shows the rear deck roof structure, 4 different windows than the back of the house, which to me, and when we were discussing with our neighbor, are you building a solarium, a sunroom? So we never got an answer on that. The item that came out that I got from him shows an open deck with what is built at the back of the house now. So I'm not sure if it's one or the other. So one of the things we did say was when we met with the owner too, he told us it's a screened-in porch. So I think that's where, you know, I had a picture to show you where, you know, our present view, it's open. And then I had a picture to show you how high up this deck will be, even on our wood fence. So it will be sitting 2 boards below our wood fence, which I think is almost 6 feet. And that's the starting point of this deck. And it goes out from the back of their house 13 feet. It actually goes out 15 feet from my house because I'm set back about 20 inches. And the height of this roof structure is about 15 feet in the air and comes out at least 13 feet because they have an overhang on it. So where the confusion started was when we looked at the notice that it was sent to us, it just said new rear deck. And then when I looked into it further and I started to ask questions, I found their application and it said new rear covered deck and int.alt/single family dwelling. So I think that's different from the notice that all the neighbors got, and I think that's where the confusion comes from. So I did have today to, you know, to give you a decision that was a, where's my notes, Mark? Where'd you put them? A TLAB decision, order of 2022, and it was the same thing. Neighbors down the street took a house because they were going back so far, and as even in the decision order, they said, there's a line that all these properties have on the west side where we are. Nobody's gone beyond it, and this structure would actually go 6.9 feet over what they called in that the high water mark for any structure on the west side of the street. And I know there's signatures for the
Sir,
owner.
you're around 5 minutes. If you could just wrap up, please.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, you know, it's the character of our neighborhood on the west side, and I think that's what's talked about in this. and I had a drawing to give you too that my neighbor did for me to show you the lineage. And I said, you know, we're not against development, you know, we're not against the, you know, we're good neighbors, but we just think this is going to block sunlight, openness, privacy, and it's not a responsible build. And we're hoping the committee doesn't authorize it today, or at least someone can answer me a question, what are they building?
Okay, we will certainly put that back to the agent. Does anyone have any questions of the speaker? You, sir, mentioned that it would be 15 feet high in the.
It attaches.
That's the proposed roof. Is that what
That to me is the understanding. The neighbor on the other side did some work on it. He got it off the drawings, and that's why I put it in my letter, and he put it in his letter. It's going to be, I guess, the peak of the roof is 15 feet in the air on the back of the house, coming out. I forget whatever we said. The deck was 11, and it'll be 13 feet coming out. And also, it's 15 feet from our house. I think I put that in the letter because we're set back a little bit.
Right.
So it's a large roof structure.
Yep. Thank you. We'll clarify with the agent exactly what they're proposing. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, if we can get the agent back, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if they have questions for us.
Do you have, no?
We'll sit here for.
Leo, you there?
Yes, hello?
Hello.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Leo. If you can respond to what we heard, in particular, clarifying exactly what your client is proposing to build back there.
Okay, so if you pull up our drawing,
Leo, you there?
hello?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Do you want us to pull up?
Hello?
No, we can't. We've lost him.
Drawing A8, the elevation, the south side elevation, A8.
Yep, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, so basically we're proposing a deck with a covered deck. And but if you could also pull up A3 of our package. Hello?
Yes, we're here. Can you hear us, Leo?
Yeah, can you pull up, so on A3, I don't know if you can see, but the existing house is only 13.44 meters. And if we were to add the deck, which is 3.35 meters, it's a total of 16.79 meters, including the covered area. So we're permitted 17 meters in total, and we comply with the coverage. So what I'm thinking is to revise our application, and where it says 1.42, we can bring that down to the 1.2 meters to address some of their concerns. This way, we only have the variance of the 3.35 meters of the width.
Okay, so you are proposing to amend the variance to remove the reference to the height, but keep the reference to...
Or revise the reference to the height to 1.2 meters.
The rear deck will be one...
As it says in the first part,
Through
where
the chair to the agent.
I'm not sure how the examiner will look at it.
Oh, Leo, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay,
hang on a
Leo,
second.
Leo, we need you to be clear in what aspect of the variance you're changing. Staff will bring up the public hearing notice. Please state for the record.
So
which
the
number.
notice where it says the rear deck will be 1.42 meters high above ground, we want to revise that to say 1.2 meters above ground.
Okay, thank you. So this will be an amended application.
Yes. And this should address some of their concerns because we're storing it and complying. We comply with the coverage, we comply with the length, we comply with the rear yard setbacks. And I believe this is a good alternative.
Yeah,
And in addition, including our deck, we're still less than 17 meters. So in actual reality, we could have built a 2-story high up to the end of the deck.
Okay, hang on a sec, Leo. Can I clarify? If he's dropping this down to 1.2, does he not conform with the bylaw? So he doesn't need the variance?
Absolutely.
Through the chair, yes, that may be the case. And again, it's up for the agent to confirm here if he wants to proceed by eliminating that or getting a deferral to get a new proper zoning review or how they want to proceed.
So Leo, so did you hear that? What we're saying is if you're going to drop the height of your deck to 1.2 meters, it may be that you don't require a variance.
I just want to make sure because I believe they're tied in together. So I believe we should still keep the 1.2 meters and the 3.35 meters, right?
Okay.
I'm not too sure if
Hang on a second. I think I've seen a bunch of hands going up here. We have some questions for you. Nancy, I think you had the first dibs on this.
All right, Mr. Masandrea, are you still going to cover the deck even with this amendment? And, or would you be open to it being not a covered deck so that the obstruction part of the roof is gone? Or alternatively, is there some kind of material that wouldn't be, like a big shingled roof or whatever that would be lighter for light and so forth?
Yes, we're still going to cover the deck, but like I said, the actual building itself could have came out 2 stories plus the roof at 17 meters, and we still would have complied.
Yeah, I know. I've heard you say that multiple times, and I get that. But, we have residents here that have a concern next door, and I'm just wondering if there's any way, I respect that you're lowering it, but I just wondered if at the very least, if you're going to cover it, is there a material that, maybe light can percolate through? Because the main reason to cover it, I guess, is for rain, right? So that's, I guess, my other question, because it sounds like you're going to stick with the covered roof.
Well, I reduced the 1 to 1.2. I'm not too sure of what material we could use, but like I said, I believe it meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act because it basically, we're not at the 17, including the deck, we're only at 16.79 meters.
All right, but would you?
And we can provide privacy screening as well.
Yeah, I don't know if sometimes that makes it worse depending what you put there. But I guess can you at least agree to undertake, looking at different materials to make, to improve the situation?
Yes, we could looking at different materials.
Okay, thank you. Ann, you were next, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking at the drawing here, and he's going to drop the height of the platform. But I think the reason the platform is at that height is he's got stairs underneath for the unit in the basement. So he's got to get the height of the platform up high enough so that the stairs into the unit underneath will work. So he can't drop, I don't know whether he can drop it enough and still clear somebody walking down those stairs underneath into the basement unit.
Is there a basement unit here, Ann?
Yeah.
The second
So Leo, is there a
No.
base, sorry,
If you look at,
hang on a second, just let's go to the agent. Leo, is there a basement unit in this proposal?
No,
No, so it's,
no, there's no basement unit, and what we're lowering is only 8 inches. It's there is no walkout. It's a side entrance.
okay, thank you.
The walkout was existing, and we removed it in the last permit.
Okay,
There
thanks.
was a walkout.
Thank you. Asif?
so this drawing is incorrect.
I don't know what you're looking at, and the one I'm looking at doesn't have a unit.
There is only one
Proposed
variance.
rear west elevation. You got the windows, you got the stairs. If he says he doesn't have a basement unit, okay.
But if you look at the basement plan, it's a recreation room.
And
Right, it's a exercise room, recreation room, utility, and storage.
okay, what's the access? The access is from the rear.
Okay, but it's not a unit. That's what.
Well, he still needs an access. It doesn't matter
But
whether it's a
he's
unit or
comfortable.
not.
He's dropping it eight inches. He's still comfortable that he can provide appropriate access. That's his risk, right? Asif, did you have a question?
Yes, sir, I do. Thank you very much. There's one variance in front of us, which is rear deck. Sir, you have given 2 reasons, but my question is, what is the size of the deck?
The size of the deck is 11 feet deep by, if you pull up A3, by
Say that again, please. 11 prong.
18. 11 by 18. 18 wide by 11 deep.
That's feet.
Feet?
Yes, feet.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Eric, did I see your hand up? You're good? All right, thank you. Anyone further questions?
Could I ask just one?
No, sir, your time's up. I'm sorry. All right, let's take this into committee.
In committee, I'm looking at drawing.
All right, through you, Mr. Chairman. Look, we have one variance before us, and as the applicant pointed out, he can go to 17 meters with a full addition. I'm sympathetic to the neighbors' concerns. It's always, changes are never easy. Mr. Massandrea has amended the variance. I think in terms of what this committee looks at, I believe this variance is minor and that it does meet the 4 tests. If my colleagues have no comment, then I would be prepared to move a motion, and I would like staff to put in the notes that the applicant, the agent has agreed to undertake looking at materials that allow light to penetrate through to mitigate, the roof.
Just to be clear.
Oh,
So
and it is as amended,
Yeah.
so we're changing the variance to read, instead of 1.42, it's going to read 1.2 meters above ground, and the projection stays at 3.35.
So the agent did offer to do privacy screening. Did you want to take him up on that?
I almost, I don't know if that makes it worse. It depends what kind of privacy screening. Can we come out of committee and
Yes.
ask the neighbors can you ask the gentleman standing there if he would like privacy screening?
Yeah, so why don't we do that? Sir, a little unconventional here. We're coming out of committee. Yeah, no, I'm going to speak really loud. We're coming out of committee. It's a little unconventional, but Nancy would like to put to you the question related to the offer from the neighbor to put privacy screening around the perimeter of the deck. It could be opaque. It wouldn't have to be wood. It could be like an opaque glass or something. Would you prefer that? I'm going to ask you to go to the microphone just for the record.
I think Rob's concern at the beginning, that's the neighbor on the south side, was as soon as something was built, they would just try and close it in.
Well, they would
And
need special permission to do that beyond what
So,
we're giving.
So, just so you, like, we're very rushed to get this done, to, you know, when we came back, to even think about this. And, you know, it didn't have to happen. We didn't need to be here at the last second. I do agree with the panel member. We did have that conversation with the
Sir,
owner.
I know, I don't want to relitigate this. I just want to put a simple question to you.
Okay, it's not, but it's not a simple question. It affects us forever.
No, but it's about privacy screening.
Right.
So would you and your wife prefer to have something that sort of screens the deck off, the people on deck from your property, or would you rather it to be clear so that it doesn't affect your sight lines?
I think you...
I mean, if I was you, I'm married, I think you should consult with your wife.
Right, but I know the person couldn't be here today that it affects on the south side. Is there any way we could get a deferment till we talk about
we
this
can't get
together?
a firm, but what we can do is leave it open for further. We'll recommend to the agent and the owner that they have discussions with you and the side neighbor
Perfect.
to determine whether you'd like screening or not.
Perfect.
Would that be satisfactory?
That works.
Okay,
That
why
works
don't
for
we
us.
do that?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah, you guys can have some discussions and figure that out amongst yourselves.
That's-
Appreciate that.
Okay, great.
Thank
Thank you. We're back in committee. I'm sorry, Nancy, can you kind of
All right.
redo
so-
your motion?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chairman, as I stated before, we have one variance before us. In the context of what this committee looks at, it meets the 4 tests. I would move approval of the application, the amended application, with the 1.42 meters above ground reads now 1.2 meters, and the 3.35 stays the same. There is an urban forestry condition number 3, and I would like staff to make note that the agent will undertake to look at different materials for the roof, and that he will also undertake to have discussions with both of the adjacent neighbors regarding whether or not they would like privacy screening on the sides.
Great. Okay, motion to approve the amended application with those conditions, I guess I'll use. And was there forestry? You got the forestry condition by Ms. Oman, seconder. Mr. Ho, all in favor? You have your approval. Thank you. Thank you for coming in, guys. All right, item number 13 was deferred. We move to item 14.
Hello?
Hang on a second.
Hello?
Hang on a second. This is item number 14, 73 Griffin Drive. This is an application to permit and maintain the existing partial front one-story addition and to alter the existing one-story detached dwelling by constructing a partial side two-story addition, a full rear two-story addition, a rear ground floor deck, and a rear basement walkout. Also to construct a new attached garage to the side of the existing dwelling. The existing carport, deck, and shed will be demolished. There'll be a total of 2 dwelling units on this lot. Committee has before it location map, plan of survey, and plans, tree and site photos on the property. We have staff reports from community planning and transportation review. There is correspondence in opposition from 3 Gorsey Square. Now, sir. Hello.
Hello. My name is Joe Battaglia. I'm the architect. I'm at 1050 McNichol Avenue in Scarborough.
Okay, sir, we're probably going to need a short presentation. In part, you've seen planning staff's report.
Yes, there was some concern about the small porch at the front that sticks out, which has been there for who knows how many years.
Well,
My
planning
client
staff is
doesn't want to.
suggesting we refuse it on the basis of the length. So maybe you can take us through and try to address that.
Well, my client, that porch, enclosed porch, has been there ever since the house was built, maybe 20 or 30 years. So it acts as a vestibule to get into the house. So in unpleasant climate, you have some sort of control over what air goes into the house. So he would like to keep that part, but if because what we did was we've already shrunk the house down substantially to get to this 19 meters on the side of the house away from the porch. So it is 19 meters on that one side. My client needs the space because he has a large family and in-laws to take care of. He would like to have that porch at the front, but if the committee decides to not allow the 19 meters, we can eliminate the porch at the front and get this thing off the ground so he can accommodate his needs.
Sorry, sir. I just want to be clear. You've got two variances with respect to the length and depth. Your length, you're asking for 23.09 meters, and your depth is 21.26. So are you suggesting if you remove the front porch, what would those variances be? What would the length and depth be?
It would be 19 meters depth.
19. So you would conform. So
No,
you wouldn't
no,
need.
I'm confused about. I'm confused about the definition of depth and length. To me, they seem to be the same thing, but I could be wrong.
Sir, the
Go ahead.
length is the actual physical length from the front of your structure to the rear of your structure. The depth is the positioning of your footprint on the lot, right? So, so you have two variances before us. One is looking for a length, which means the distance from the front of your house to the rear of your house. You're asking for over 23 meters, where 17 is permitted. So you're 6 meters beyond what the bylaw provides for. Your depth, you're asking for just over 2 meters. So you're 2 meters deeper into your lot than the bylaw permits. So if
No, we heard that. Hello.
So if you're proposing to remove the front porch,
the 2 meters, yeah.
So we would need to know what your depth and length, the new depth and length would be if that's what you're proposing to do.
Well, if depth is measured from the street or something, we are not changing. Well, we're adding that 2 meters, more than the 17 meters permitted, to 19 meters, which, according to planning, they would support.
So I think.
But.
So I think, sir.
We can't. Go ahead.
No, I think we're all just a little bit confused. So you've got two variances.
Wow. Okay.
The variances for length say that from the front of your house to the rear of your house, you're allowed to have that depth, that length is 17 meters. You're asking for 23 meters, right? So
no,
including your addition on the back, I guess, plus the front porch adds up to 23 meters, right? The depth is a little bit different. It's the positioning of your footprint on your lot, which means your depth of your house, the depth of your foundation and your addition is deeper into the lot than the bylaw permits. So there's two separate, while they're related, they're two separate variances. Do you understand?
So we submitted changes based on discussions with planning staff. And we have 19 meters from the front of the building to the back. It's a 2 meter variance. Okay, now they're counting the porch at the front. And I just said that we can take the porch at the front out so that we maintain the 19 meters that planning staff recommended if the committee finds that more acceptable. Otherwise, my client would like to keep the vestibule at the front.
So,
Okay, no,
and I'm trying not to belabor this discussion any further, but what I think I'm hearing you say is for variance number 3, you're suggesting that you can
Yeah.
comply with the 19-meter bylaw. Is that correct? For the depth?
the 19 meters that in our discussions with planning, they would find acceptable.
Okay, so then you still have variance number 2, which planning...
Yes, of course.
Which
There
planning
will be a
is-
variance. Yeah, we're not changing.
Listen to me, sir. Listen to me. So variance number 2, planning is still recommending refusal because that still is too long. Their view is that your building is too long. So if you were to remove variance 3, if you would comply with the depth, do you know what the change would be to variance number 2 for your overall length?
Just so you understand, and I know there's some confusion because I'm confused myself in what you're saying. The building, we shrank to from the front corner of the house, away from the porch. The porch sticks out beyond that. I'm just suggesting if we remove the porch, we will have the 19 meters that in our discussions with planning, they were acceptable to. I cannot change the fact that the corner of the house is where it is, and we're adding a bit to the back. But our depth of our length of building is 19 meters if we remove the porch at the front, which is what in our discussions with planning was acceptable. I can't change where the corner of the house is and bring it forward. It is what it is. So that what you're talking about, length of building as opposed to depth, those are items that one of them is going to remain the same regardless. If I take the 19 meters as the length, which is what we discussed, they're okay with that. So
I'm sorry,
the building, it's 19 meters. If I move it forward, I can't because
sir,
I'm trying to.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second, sir. Hang on.
I just want to try to simplify this because I think everybody's getting even more confused. What the chair was asking you, so we know what planning wants. They want you to comply and remove variance number 3, which is comply with the 19 meters of the depth. What Mr. Clay is asking you, to do that, you're removing 2.26 meters from the depth. What he's asking you is, do you also then have to remove 2.26 meters or a different number from the length, like with variance number 2? That's what he's trying to ask you.
The confusion is, where does the length start? Does it start from the street?
If no, the length.
Or does it start from the corner of the house? Because the length of the house is 19
Hang
meters.
on, if you take the porch off, the length would start from where the brick of the building starts. It no longer starts from the porch. And that is Mr. Clay's question. If you're taking the porch off to comply with the 19 meters, then your length of the building changes because the porch is no longer included. So what he's asking you is, what is that number going to be to change variance number 2 with the removal of variance number 3?
Through the chair, if there's so much confusion regarding the
Yeah.
variances, then perhaps the applicant should go back to the buildings department and submit revised plans and obtain a revised zoning review that clearly identifies the variances. And the applicant can have the discussion with the plans examiner regarding the different definitions between building depth and length. And I would also note for the record that the community planning report just speaks to variance number 2 and to limit building length.
Which is, so just to add on to your point, Nicole, if they change the depth, take the porch off, then does that not affect coverage? That affects, you know, front yard landscaping. So it triggers a whole change of variances that would require, I think, a new application.
And on
zoning
top
approach.
of which, even if he takes the porch off, he still needs a variance for number 2. It's just a different number.
Correct.
So he
correct.
needs that variance regardless.
That's correct.
It's just
And
what
he
is
doesn't-
that number, and he doesn't know.
He doesn't know what that number is. So I think, sir, given everything that we've said and the questions that we have and the confusion around this application, you would be well advised to defer this application and have further discussions with community planning to resolve what sounds like a fair amount of confusion about not just the length and depth variance, but it might trigger your front yard landscaping, lot coverage, a whole series of things. So would you be comfortable with the panel deferring this application so those discussions can happen and you can come back at a later date with an application that is a little bit clearer?
I don't know what you have in front of you, but we have revised the drawings and submitted it to the planning staff. So they have already our changes.
Yeah, but sir,
Um,
they've recommended.
I'm
Sorry,
comfortable.
sorry,
I'm
sir.
not-
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I don't want to prolong this any further. Planning staff have recommended that we refuse variance number 2. If we refuse variance number 2, then your whole application is, you won't be able to proceed. So your best recourse, frankly, is to defer this application and have further discussions with planning staff and come back to this panel with a revised application.
And through the chair to the applicant, to be clear, if you have submitted revised plans to community planning, you need to submit those revised plans to the Committee of Adjustment Office. Those plans need to be on file with the Committee of Adjustment Office and circulated through new notice, as well as if you have new plans, then you need to adjust your variances accordingly. So it's also recommended that you take your revised plans to the Buildings Department and get your zoning review updated and have your variances adjusted accordingly.
Okay, I don't want to prolong this any further. Is it really important, Ann?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
He has 2 variances, one for driveway width, 6.8 versus 6, and one for front yard landscaping. If he makes his driveway width comply, it complies with that, and he can also comply with the front yard landscaping. He deletes 2 of those variances. When he's looking at that, he may want to think about those 2 deletions.
Good suggestion. All right, I'm going to close this off, go into committee, and I'll look for someone to move to defer this application. Yeah, please do.
Okay, through you, Mr. Chairman. With all the discussions, the confusion with this, and I think everything that's been discussed, it's prudent to defer this application. Sine die or to the first available date? Doesn't matter. Okay, we'll defer it to the first available date, and that means that the applicant, it's up to him. The sooner he comes back with more clear information and potential changes, and then staff will reschedule it.
Okay, motion to defer by Ms. Oman. Do I have a seconder? Ms. McCauley, all in favor? Thank you. This, your application, sir, is deferred. That means, as Ms. Oman pointed out, you should probably follow up with planning to make sure that their concerns are resolved. All right, we move on to item number 15. This is 2181 McNicoll Avenue, Unit 7 and 8. This is an application to permit the use of an animal shelter in Units 7 and 8 in the existing one-story building. Committee has, committee has before it a location map, plan of survey and plans, cover letter from the agent, tree and site photos. There is a report, advisory report from Metrolinx. Do we have the agent online?
Through the chair, we have.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me well?
Yes, through the chair, we have the agent online. I would also just like to bring to the agent and panel members' attention with respect to the public hearing notice and the requested variance. Again, I would like the variance to match with the purpose. So where the variance is stating animal shelter will be a proposed use, I recommend changing or correcting that language to will be a permitted use to match the purpose of application. And if the agent is in agreement with that technical amendment.
Absolutely. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, sir, I'm sorry, did I get your name and address?
No, not yet. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jack Wong. I'm a land use planner and principal at Malone Given Parsons. Address is 140 Wenthrough Drive, Suite 201, Markham, Ontario.
Great, thank you, sir. Hang on a second. Anyone need a presentation on this one? No presentation?
I have one
Do you have
question.
a question? Sir, we don't need a presentation on it. It seems a fairly straightforward application. We do have a question, though. Ann?
Okay. The animal, the cat cafe is in units 7 and 8. Does the applicant know what is in the adjacent units?
Through the chair, I believe the building itself has not been fully listed at the moment. To the best of my knowledge, there is a couple other restaurant and personal service use currently in the building. But in terms of the specific use adjacent to the units 7 and 8, I fortunately do not have that information.
Your concern, Ann, is sound or mitigation of some form?
Yes.
Maybe you could ask
both
that.
of those.
Are they planning to do any of that activity? Sir, I think the question is more about, given you have an animal shelter, are you planning like soundproofing or you know, is there anything in your plans that address kind of spillover noise and smell and odor and that sort of thing to adjacent units?
Health and safety, really.
Through the chair, I believe my client, which is the applicant, is also online, and she might be able to speak to the actual nature of the business operation more better than I do. Her name is Emily Ho. I believe she's also online here, who might be able to answer that question.
Hang on a second. Yes, Nancy?
I was just going to say, first of all, your cover letter was great because it's the definition that it falls under is animal shelter, but it's not. It's a cat room. It's like a place where I think people who want to adopt a cat can come. There's only 15 cats, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess to my colleague's question about the odor and what, I'm not sure how, you know, how much
impactful
it would be,
it
how
is.
impactful, thank you, Mr. Clay, in comparison to what we call a real animal shelter where you have a lot of animals. So I just want us to know that we're not really looking at the classic definition of an animal shelter.
There you have it from cat lover Ms. Oman.
Actually, I'm a dog lover. I'm sorry.
I think what we'll do is maybe just bring the owner on just to confirm. Is that the what you're proposing here?
Yes, it is what we're proposing. The cat room is a isolated room with only 15 cats. There will be a separate ventilation and soundproofing even with the cafe side. So it'll be a 2 separate section between the cafe and the cat room.
Perfect.
In terms of odor, there'll be illumination. We're using a lot of cat litter robots, a lot of sanitization practices, and we're adhering to strict guidelines from the animal services and animal welfare.
Great. That's perfect. Thank you. Anything else? All right. We'll take this into committee. Fairly straightforward, guys. Who wants Eric?
Thank you, Chair. Through you, I think this application is minor and meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act. Animal cafes are becoming pretty popular in the city. It's a great place for social interaction, not just for pets, but also pet owners. The agent's presentation is great. It suggests the owner will take substantial health and safety measures to protect the well-beings of the animal as well as patrons. Overall, I'm satisfied this variance is minor and appropriate for the location and meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act. Therefore, I move approval of this application.
Great. Motion by Mr. Ho to approve, seconded by Ms. Oman. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you. We move on.
Thank you very much, everybody.
You're welcome. We move on to item number 16, 84 CLIFFCREST Drive. This is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling with a secondary basement suite, an integral garage, front porch, rear basement walkout, and terrace with a ground floor rear covered deck. The existing 1-story detached dwelling and detached garage will be demolished. Committee has before a copy of the location map, plan of survey and plans, cover letter from the agent, and tree and site photos. There are 3 form letters in support from 82 and 97 Cliffcrest and 31 Glen Ridge Road. We have the agent.
You do. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of committee. My name is David Smith. I'm here representing the homeowners at 84 Cliffcrest Drive. My address is 401 Craven Road here in Toronto.
Great, thank you, sir. Hang on a second. Panel, does anyone need a presentation on this one? No. Straightforward. Sir, we may have comments or questions, but we don't need a presentation from you today. We've read the material. We're familiar with your application. Is there anything you'd like to share with us before we go into committee?
I think it's very straightforward. For the sake of expediency, I'll leave it to the committee. Feel free to ask questions.
Okay, that's great. Nancy, did you have something?
Yeah, it's not a question. Mr. Smith, I thank you for your cover letter. It was great. I would just like to ask that in the future, instead of attaching a bunch of previous decisions, that it would be very helpful if you just wrote down like the address on one page and just, said the variances there, sort of like a little chart. It'll just make our life a lot easier and it'll be clearer for everyone to see.
Okay. Asif, did you have a question? You have a microphone?
Thank you so much.
I have a motion.
Oh, any further questions or comments? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My motion is straightforward. I have 4 variances in front of us, a minor and comply Ontario Building Code, zoning bylaws, and meet 4 tests. So therefore, I move this application be approved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Khan to approve, seconded by Ms. McCauley. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you, sir. And that concludes the morning session. We return at 2 o'clock, Nicole?
Through the chair, yes, we can convene at 2 o'clock.
Okay, great. Thank you all.